Real pretty coach. Really nice. This is a Pathfinder. I think that's what it says. Sport coach. So we got a membrane on here. Gonna tear it up. Got the ACs coming off. Then we got to check all the ACs. This one had a bad sag in it. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a flopper. So we're going to pull this up, see what's going on, get some strength into it so it does not happen again. We will not be having it. Typical Dicor baloney. Look at there. You think you had some leaks coming there? I'll bet you do. That is terrible. So I'm speculating we're probably going to put a new roof deck on it. I got to make a fancy dancy curb for this thing. Look at that son of a gun. That's a big one. So we got to do that one. Got to get my pocket knife out. Look at these craters. So this is Dicor. Do not use Dicor. Dicor is made by Carlisle Syntex. So everybody always asks me, hey, what else do we use? Carlisle Syntex makes the Dicor, but they also make other EPDM, they make TPO, PVC, they make a lot of products. So they just basically license it back to Dicor. But you can use Carlisle Syntex lap sealant. It'd probably be cheaper. But you can see right here, like this stuff doesn't even want to stick. I mean, it's stuck to itself, and yes, I'm pulling on it. But if you look down inside here, you'll still see dirt, debris, and you'll see how clean that plastic is. It doesn't stick. It doesn't stick. And I don't like these covers. If you have covers like these, there's a screw right here, there's a screw right here, and then there's a screw right here. And what happens is, I'm gonna see if I can get my flashlight out, if that will help. Water gets up inside here. The water will get right up inside that hole. See if I can come back. I'm going to see if I can show you that. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm going to zoom up a little bit. Hopefully I won't squirrel out this camera. But water will get right up inside there. See that? Look at that. You can see all right inside there. There's no caulking. So what they do is they'll go around and they'll caulk all of this. They never get any product up underneath here. Water gets in there, gets behind this leg right here, gets behind that leg, and then gets into the screw, and then you end up with water getting down behind that screw assembly. Well, like I said, this stuff here, this is just, it's stuck to itself, but it's not really stuck to the product, to the cap. It really isn't. So what Dicor wants you to do is just keep putting more on, more on, more on. And we all know who puts more on? A moron! Dang! See here, same thing. I've never seen a caulking in all the years I've been doing construction, which is a couple of, let's see, 3.5 decades anyways, that I've been doing construction, commercial work, residential work, all types of stuff. Never seen a caulking design. Let me fix this camera. Never seen a caulking designed and marketed for outside use that fails in 3 to 4 months. It is their cash cow. You can, I don't know if you can see how good that's flexing right there, but this is going to get a new roof deck. Okay? It should not do that. It should not flex like that. So you got some rot right here. See? That should not be happening. So, but that's because water got down inside here, and now it's caused all this damage. We're going to salvage this shoulder. Normally, if you watch some of the other videos, I'll bring the roofing over here, and then we cinch it behind here. I believe we're going to take these off and put on some gutters too, because all this just runs right down the coach. I don't know why they don't have gutters on here. That's crazy. So, but we're going to put gutters on here, and then I'm going to put a, the roof is going to terminate right here without a termination bar. That's right, without a termination bar. We're going to have it so it's just nice and smooth and rolls right over. So I got to fabricate up a whole bunch of pieces on here, and then I'm going to weld it all together. It's going to look awesome. We did the same thing on a Freightliner. We had a Freightliner up there we did a while back. But look at all the blue blobs and the goo gobs of caulking they put all around there. Obviously that looks like a leak right there. And see if I can see. But the reason why they want to salvage, not have the roofing come down, because I got some nice decals going up, and then this also changes color when it heads on down there, which is, if it were mine, that's the way I would do it. I would, meaning that I would not pull the roofing over, not on something like this. And the Freightliner one, when you look at it, is the same way, meaning that it had a really big shoulder. It had LED lights in it, and it was, hear how solid that is? Man, that would be a lot of work. That isn't your typical shoulder. So, gonna get rid of this crummy antenna. We got a radio antenna we got to deal with. We don't have the scaffold pulled over on that side. I just wanted to come up here and get the ACs off. So what Mr. AC guy down there, what he does is he comes in and he's going to clean all of this, and he's checking all of the, so like right in here specifically, see that corner right in there? All the air is not going in the ductwork, it's going there, it's going there, it's going everywhere else inside like the ceiling cavity, but it's not actually getting in there. So he's going to make sure all that is right for us, and he'll make sure the air conditioner, he's going to clean all this, he's going to fix this, straighten all that out, make sure everything runs tip top, the best you can get. And if this old man right here, if he can't figure it out, I'll tell you, it can't be fixed. He is a guru, and I mean that literally. He is a guru when it comes to RV refrigeration, warehouse refrigeration, all sorts of funky AC stuff that he's been doing. So we're glad to have him here. So you can see they slobbered more stuff on here, and a little spider running over there. Hopefully it won't bite anybody. But you can actually see the cave in there. Let me see if I can get something for that. I'm gonna try. Let's see. Got a piece of gutter rail here. Might be able to come over here a little bit. Looky there. Wow. That is some elevation problems. It's dropped that much. That is quite a bit. So you can see this whole area right in here is all sunken in. So we're gonna fix all that mess. That's what we do. And see, that's what he's doing now with his foam. He's making sure everything's all blocked up right. Then we bought some high dollar AC tape, and it is high dollar. It's like, how much was that a roll? Like $50, $42 a roll, wasn't it? And it's not a big roll, but it does the job. So that's what we want to make sure we don't have to do this twice. If you get inferior products, you get an inferior job, and we don't do that here. So like I said, they'll fix all this stuff, and like I said, get it running good. They run well now anyways, but they do need a cleaning. You can see in there, they need a cleaning. Make sure all these are all lined up. You want to make sure that it's spinning well when you do all that, it's spinning well, it's not getting the shroud on here. And this is, there's a what?
Dirt daubers will build it.
Oh, the dirt daubers will build a nest behind it? Oh, it will scatter out? Yeah. So, but that's where we're at so far. So now we got to take the roof apart, and once we do, we'll show you what's going on. And like I said, we're going to redeck it, blah, blah, blah. We're going to go soup to nuts with this thing. It'll be sharp. So it's just going to get a white roof. It'll look, I guess, the same way, but I think they'll look sharp. All right, let's see what we got here. We showed you how big of a sag we had over here earlier, and then look at this. It's not even in there, which is what I'm suspecting may be the problem over here. I think that it's not secured, and it's just floating in there, and then the weight of the air conditioner, there's no structural strength to it. So we're going to investigate that a little bit. What we're doing now is just trying to get all the roofing off and see what we got going on. So, and then obviously we got to take satellite off and stuff. And that's about it. So we got the whole edge of the coach. That's important. Get the whole edge of the coach all protected on both sides. We got all the awnings protected, everything protected. I think with this awning over here, it's got a slight rip up inside there already. I think it is this one. See if we can show that. It's all taped up. I'm pretty sure it was this one right here on the edge. It already had a tear in it. I'm sure they already know all that. So, yeah, there it is. Okay. So, that's pretty common though. But that's where we're at. So we're gonna get this all stripped off, and then we'll have to investigate it and get some sheathing on here, all that jazz. And we got to get some strength in here. That's ridiculous. So it is a ply foam roof, and that's what it is. The foam It's right there. We gotta get the camera down there a little bit. See the foam inside there? So all they do is just glue the ceiling panel to the upside here, and then this is glued to the other end here on the roof deck side. It's glued like that, and then, you know, it's all sealed, and it's a really strong system, but you really should have some strength built into some of these for at least the air conditioners. And again, that's what we're going to have to investigate, and I'll have to see how we're going to get it strengthened up. We're going to have to jack the ceiling up, a whole bunch of stuff. So we've got a little bit of work ahead of us. We've got a truss right here. You can see it split right there. There's a truss right there. There's nothing here. So all this, you only get about 1 inch of foam from here to the ductwork. There's no strength carrying that. I guess, like I said, something over here, but there's nothing there. But now that's compromised back here, what, 3 foot or so. So now we gotta tear all this up, and we gotta figure out how we're gonna get some strength into it. Because once we figure out this problem, we're gonna have to duplicate it over there. Okay. Here's got the same scenario. So we may have to actually make a truss and get it in here. I'll figure it out here in a minute as soon as I know all what's going on. I do have a truss right here though. I've got one there. No, there's nothing there. It's a piece of foam. It's just dirty. There's nothing there either. No truss. But there is a trough for a truss. See? I guess they just wanted to omit a couple of these. But that's where the problem is. There's no strength in this section right here. They done forgot it. So, like I said, well, I don't know how that could be, but it is. So I definitely need to get a truss in here, and I need to get one in here. And then we'll probably skin over this thing here. I'm going to see if I can get away with at least 3/8, but I may go over it with 1/2 inch. But let's get going and see what we got. So as you can see, the air conditioner is sloped down. That is where the air conditioner goes. And obviously it got some sort of leak, which instigated a lot of this. But now, so this portion right here, this portion, that's the ceiling. You watch, see if I can get this camera without, see in there? See how I'm lifting it? See if I get in there a little better. See how the ceiling isn't moving? It's all separated. It's separated from the ceiling now. So now there's, the way this is constructed and the way it works and gets its maximum strength. This is called ply foam. So this ceiling piece down here is laminated to this foam, and then the ceiling, the roof part is laminated to the foam, and it's sandwiched together. Okay, when it's done like that, it's very strong. But once it starts separating, then there's no strength. It's useless at that point. So we have to get some strength in there and figure out just how much damage we have on that foam, and make adjustments accordingly, and then add some strength to it. So on here, this would have been if there were a duct back there, but that's closed off. But you can see right here, see that aluminum foil there, the tape, that's for the duct over there, because there's probably an outlet or something right here, I'm guessing. And that one there, typically you have one go one way and one go the other. One may come up and one may go down, vice versa. So, and I'm looking over there, I don't see anything yet, but I haven't got it all open. So now that we know exactly, we got ceiling issues that are separating, which we could see some of that on the interior, but we didn't know how bad it was. So that's what I'm trying to do, is explore this before I just think of a plan that may not work. You got to kind of assess things as we take them apart. I want to see where the root problem is, what failed, what else failed, so I don't fix one thing and then we didn't fix the other because we didn't take the time to address it properly. So give us a few more minutes. We're going to have some of this apart. And you got to also we got to be real careful. We got wires and everything in here. You see wires there, and then there's another wire right here. You can see those wires there. So I want to be careful. It's just slacking wire that's kind of coming up and looping down, but I don't want to break them either. So, and I don't know what else may be on down there. All right, well, we got the piece out. We found out why it's not stuck to the ceiling. It's not stuck there either. Here's the piece, the back side. This is the ceiling side. No glue. No glue. Don't steal my tools. You saw that. We got it on camera. He stole my tool. No glue. So, I don't know about the whole thing, but I doubt I'm going to pull this whole entire roof up just to glue the ceiling on. That's not going to happen. But had this been glued together, theoretically, the way it was supposed to be designed, it would have been all set. So we're going to take this other piece out. I'll have two pieces, but this has already got compromised right here from the, you can see how much it's dropped. There's obviously, because this is supposed to be up here. So you got roughly about 1.25 inches, maybe 1.5 inches between here. And then, all right, let us move forward and onward. Now this part, this is the ceiling, the roof part. This is your deck. And this is glued on here pretty good, so the more you keep working it, the more you keep pocking it apart. See how you can tell it's glued, because every time I kept trying to peel this up, you can see I'm ripping into the foam. And that's what this is doing, it's ripping into the foam. See the foam on the back side? So that tells me obviously that is glued. This side, no glue. No glue. Not at all. So we showed you all what's going on here. Then we come over to this truss. And if you look down in here, let's see if I can zoom this up a little bit. This truss is not glued. See how it's moving around? It's not glued at all in there. That's just flopping all over the place. You can see how loose it is, see? Oh, it's not glued anywhere in there. You can see that moving down there. None of it's glued. So we got this truss here. From this point to the back, all the way back there, there is no trusses. So, give you an idea. So you got, what, 7'9", no truss. Then the next one is right here. This one right there. Go back down here with our tape measure, and you are at 105 inches or so, and a half, and a quarter, whichever, to the next one. We'll say it's, let me see if I can straighten that out. But anyhow, maybe 104. Looks like I was hitting that piece. The tape was riding up on that. Took up some measurements. What about 104 inches? 8'8". The next one. Hook this here. Let's put the camera down. The next one we saw is right here, and that's going to be another 6'3", looks like. So they're all random. Then after that, we couldn't find them. All the way over here, and I don't believe there's even one on this. I'll double check that again. Maybe one right there. Nope. That's just plunging into the foam. If it was hitting metal, you'd know it wouldn't be able to go in. But see, look here. That roof deck isn't quite that thick. That's all the foam. So there's nothing even supporting this air conditioner, which my guess is if we don't do something with it, it could possibly fail, and then you'll have a sag in that roof, you know, right in that area, like you do way down there. So I'm trying to get some thoughts together here. I'm definitely not contemplating on tearing all this up and redoing all that. I would like to get some strength in it, but every time I go into here, I'm going to end up putting a lot more trusses, which, I mean, I believe it needs, but nonetheless, it's not my wallet. And the other concern that I had is I got this satellite dish that weighs a few pounds, and the only thing that's really supporting this satellite dish is this right here. So more than likely, what I will do is I'm going to reroute these wires anyways under the roof. I'll channel them inside, all these wires that go to the satellite. I'll channel them in and I'll have them pop up. But I think what I may do is move the base of that over a bit. That's what I'm thinking about. I want to see where the balance is on there, but I'm guessing this is going to be the heaviest portion. So I'd rather have it over a truss to get some strength. But you can see this truss here is already twisted out. It's not in either. This one, you can see how it's moving. So none of them are glued in. This just pops right out. That's crazy. So trying to negotiate all this, kind of absorb it all and see what I can do, where we're gonna go, and get some information back to the customer so they know. But definitely would like to get some strength on that air conditioner for sure. And then once we get that, this over here is a vent, I believe. It would have to be, because you can see the flutes, see the vent holes, that's where the air goes in. So we definitely need to get some strength on that. There's nothing there. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. So I'm gonna probably peel that up so we can get a good look at it. I'll cut it or something. And then the same with this here. I don't know, it's probably just sitting in there, just a metal plate. That's all it looks like it is, just a metal plate, but there is a truss right there. See the truss there on that side. But on this side, it's just a floater, much like this. So it's got one truss. I'll go back over here. So one truss, and then this is just kind of a frame that comes off it, like an ear, if you will, and then just welded back to there. And all right, well, let me get to work and figure out at least the dimensions and everything on this, so I can at least get one of these going and see where we're going with the rest of it. All right, so you can see we've got several trusses going in here. So air conditioner, so we need another truss on that side, and then you can see we got more going on down there. So that's what we're doing. And this is another truss design that I put together. So these shoulders, they're not coming off. Those shoulders are not coming off. There's a lip underneath there. You can't get the whole piece in. So I designed a lock here. It's a woodworking joint. Probably not something I came up with myself. It's pretty common. But what it does, pull this apart here. So to lock in, and this will lock in like this right here. That'll lock in. But in the meantime, what happens, this is a gusset that I fabricated up. This will go on like this. Get it on here, trying to hold the camera. Can you get that on there? Plug that on there. Either way, it don't matter. So that slides on, keep sliding it all the way down. Now we'll glue all this together, and then we'll slide that back up and we'll lock that joint together, so now it's not going to be able to move. It's not going to be able to move anyways because of the way the ceiling, it's going to be glued to the ceiling. Then we're going to put that lock plate on there, and all that's going to hold it tight. It can't go anywhere, like literally at all. So that's what we're doing now. It's all construction adhesive. All right, so we got it all there. Then we just lock that joint together, and then this is going to slide up. Right in the center, good. And we put some screws in it. We're gonna clamp it all together. And we're gonna screw it. And we'll make sure this ceiling has got to come up on this side, on the left side that you're looking at on the screen. So now we just cinch a couple screws in it, and then that's what we got it all for. We gotta get all those. Cinch it up. It'll pull all that in there. Then we'll get some, you can see the glue coming out the side there. See it right there? We're going to put a screw in there and that'll hold it, and then you can see it all on the floor, on the ceiling actually. We got a whole lot to it. So on this one, what we did, you can see we still got the plate on this, another one going towards the rear on the AC. We put some screws in the frame. So now all that's all supported. It's got all the strength it needs. That's going to be really strong. So now what we're going to do is just make sure we take this here, we're just going to make sure that the ceiling or the roof assembly is pretty straight. That's what we're trying to do. It's got a little, because it's got such little trusses in it, we've noticed we got all this action going. So we're just trying to make it true on the top and just a little bit of camber that it's supposed to naturally have, and that's it. So we're just trying to get it back in play. Come on up with it. We're going to try and get that trued up a little bit. A little more. There you go. That'll have to get us because it's raised up over and more to the right. That'll work. All right, what this is This is just pipe insulation that you use to insulate your pipes. But we got a wire there. So I got to glue all this together. I don't want that all getting in the wires there. If they ever have a problem, I want to be able to fish it out or work with it or whatever. We're going to put another one on here. So all we're doing is just putting the wires in there, right? See how I got that one in there? Now when we put our adhesive and our foams and everything in there, it'll bond, which is what I want, but it's not going to get in on that wire. So, and then like, we got these trusses going on. I want to make sure this got down to the ceiling, so we wedged it down right now to give it some stress down to the ceiling. Once that cures out, we got to redeck it. Then we'll have everything all the way we want. So we got to play with this a little bit because it wants to walk and dance and do all that jazz, and we don't need none of that nonsense. Let's show you what we got going on here. This thing is whooping our butt. Had to get these new trusses in. We showed you all of that already. It was, even though we showed you, it was a lot harder of a task than what you probably saw in the video. The other thing we got to do is we got to put some steel down, because that's where our plywood's going to hit. There's our plywood, but it's got to land on something solid so when it breaks, you don't want to just try to break it along here, because then it won't seat evenly. And then the other concern we're going to have, I don't know if you can see some of this dipping in the bays. That's what we're straightening out now. Jack the ceiling up, try to get some of that out of the way, meaning try to get a little camber and correct that. But we're extended as far as we're going in the ceiling, so whatever you see up on here is what it's going to be. Well, that's it. So this over here is satellite dish. Underneath there's some steel, so when we put the curb down we have something to screw down to. You still got the plywood here, but I want something a little meatier for that. You need to have a little bite on it. So that's about where we're at so far. So now we're going to start decking it, bringing it all down, and then the roof can go on. We've got special pieces that we made for here that we're going to get mounted in, and that's how the roofing on most of the coaches come over, but not on this one. It's going to stay up here. But I don't want to have a termination bar up here. If you have one of those up there, then the water is going to get trapped, and I want the water off the roof. So we're going to weld it all the way down, this whole thing, all the way down, both sides. So we'll have a turn bar in the back, we'll have a turn bar in the front, but other than that, on the sides, there's not going to be any. We're going to, like you said, we're going to weld it all in. All right, we have got this thing all decked over, and it looks pretty darn well. Pretty darn well. So it's laid out pretty close to the way I wanted it, and I say pretty close because there's a lot of little squirreliness with this roof, and we chased it the best we could. So we've got a little, looks like right in here, you see this is the edge of the coach within 4 foot or so, and on this panel it's got a slight dip right here. Nothing we can do about it, and it looks like it's coming down just ever so slightly. You probably can't see it in the camera, so, but it's very, very slight. Then the same on the opposite side, but some of the problems with that is there's a slide out here. We can't get in on that to try to do more. So we got kind of just a slight right here as well over this slide out, and also just a very slight as it comes down. And here's another quirk, very odd. This is marrying up to here on this shoulder very well. Marries up great. On that side, marries up great. On this side, it's pretty close. Right here, this is a fascia for the back. But look at that. It just does not want to seat. So we're gonna figure something out so it looks well. But that's kind of weird. It's almost like this mold or something on this end is not aligned with the rest of the coach. And you can see it is actually kind of dropped right down here. You can't see with all the extra caulking that they put in there, but that's what it looks like to me. So we'll, like I said, we're going to find out. We're going to make it right. We're going to make it look so you can't notice it, but it's going to be another challenge. So the next step for us to do is get our protective strips on here, and then we also got to get our flashing detail, because this particular roof, like I keep saying, is not going to go all the way over. It's going to terminate right here. So I made up some special flashing detail for that. Then otherwise, obviously, cut out all the vents and things like that. And we've got some antenna for cellular going up, a booster and a Wi-Fi or the actual antenna. A couple other components, put it that way. Okay, now we're getting this side glued. This side's already glued. You can see we've got all our protective strips in there. We've got them running down there. Then also we've got here's our weld metal. This is coming over. We're going to weld all that together. So that's what we're working on right now, getting it all glued. And now what we're going to do is roll out the roofing. That's what we're doing. We're going to roll it all out. It's going to take a little time, so I'm not going to video the whole thing. And now what we're doing is going over it with this big roller, and that heavy roller is going to pack it right down. We've got a little dip in here. We knew we had one, but there's no way for us. All the work we did, we still couldn't get that back 100%. We would have had to take the slide out apart, all the trim, all that stuff just to get at it. So it's fine, it's strong. There's nothing wrong with it. It is what it is. You got to come down and think about how much time we'd have into doing something, and will it make a big difference in the longevity and the performance of the roof. If it did, we would have had no choice but to do it. But in this case, that's going to be okay. And we're going to heat weld over to that side. I also don't want to rip some of these wallet apart for something that's just so minor. Now what we're trying to do is just align the satellite with the curb, so it's going to move, and then when it rests back down, that's how we know where we're going to lay the curb, to make sure the part that's sticking straight up, that's going to lay back down on the roof, and we want to make sure it's going to lay on the curb just right. So this thing just looking for something, I guess. You can see it's moving now, it's working. And there it goes. Rolling around again. We are done. It's a big job right here. A lot of work. Okay, so you can see we made that nice boot for the cellular antenna, and I guess this is a booster over here, so we get that in. And then what we did on this coach is this is all heat welded here. We have no termination bar. It's heat welded all the way back here. That's a big weld. Heat welded. We got 2 strikes of caulking on everything. Everything is loaded in here. Put a gutter on here as well, so now when the water comes down, before it didn't have one, so it would just hit here and keep drooling down. That's just not good. Well, we obviously got a black insert trim, but when it hits here, at least we got some gutters on there, little spouts, so it'll come off. One of the other things we did is we built up these standoffs right here so we could get some flow of water. So the way they had it is they had this awning rail screwed down, and that awning rail was blocking a lot of the water from flowing off. We want that water to get out of there. So we mounted a piece of steel here, and then we mounted this awning rail to the steel and cinched it all down. So we got all that squared away. So now, like I said, the water can actually get down and get off the coach. You see we got everything all welded in on our curbs. They're all welded for our AC. We got this front piece that comes down, and that's going to catch any water that comes down from the lid of the AC. As it comes down, it'll get down below. There's a counter flash up inside, and it'll wash out. So we're going to get that. We are done. We are done with our big sports coach. So you can see we've got, that's our Wi-Fi antenna. We made a custom boot for it. Then this is a booster. I'm trying to go slower with this camera. Getting some comments, people say I need to go slower. So we all have to go slower. Radio antenna. So we've got all those sealed up. Those are little boots. There's a portable sealer in there. And now the way you wash these roofs, you can wash them with just some regular dishwashing liquid. That's it. That's all you need, really. And you can use a pressure washer on them. They'll be fine. So what we've done here, all heat welded. This is all heat welded back there. Double sealed up underneath here. And then the way this comes up, there's a lock I made. So it actually comes in, locks, snaps down, and then we fasten it down here, sealed it. And then we also put a buffer strip. You can faintly see that line there. That's that buffer strip that's about yay wide right in here. That covers over this as well, even though that's hemmed over. So we put a gutter on here. Didn't have one, just had the awning rail down here. We put a gutter on top, and we put that insert trim in there. We've got spouts on each end, all four corners. So this here is a booster, I guess. Just drops down into a cabinet. We don't wire them up, we just prep them. That's dropped in. We don't do any wiring at all. That'll get dropped in. We just coiled up the wires, left it in the cabinet. So the owner, he's pretty well versed at how to hook all that fancy stuff up. We're not nearly that smart. So here's the standoffs I made. Little boots, bolts coming up, and then this is a piece of steel that we have connecting everything down there. And then we put the awning. This is the awning rail for the fabric to slide in. There's a spline right there fastened to that. So now what that does, it gives us this trough so the water can get down into that gutter and roll out. The way they had it before, this piece just mounted to the roof, and then the water would build up. So we don't want to have any of that. You want to be able to get this water off the roof. So you see we've got all our curves, everything's all heat welded in, and then on this air conditioner we've got this front counter flashing. So when the water comes down, I don't want it to roll back. Up underneath there is a foam gasket. I don't want that water to try to trickle around into that foam gasket. So what that does, when it hits it, it'll divert it right out. It'll go up underneath. There's another counter flash on the curb. It'll go below the curb counter flash. Out it goes. On the other side of the air conditioning here, usually there's some corrugation. You're not going to have any issue with water trying to run back that way. And you're going to be in a motion where water's going to be rolling, like as you're traveling. So on these other ones, you can see we've got, again, all heat welded. We've got counter flash on the top. That's the counter flash that's on this as well. They're on all of them. And again, so if you're traveling and you have, you know, you even going in this one, looking at any of the curves for that matter, as the water is gushing across, if you get caught in a heavy, heavy thunderstorm, you got a lot of water just pouring and the wind's blowing. Even if it tried to ride up onto this curb, if it tried to ride up, it's going to hit that counter flash, it's going to get diverted out. And what that does is going to minimize basically an erosion. You know, when you have all that water keep washing across, especially that old Dicor crap, it's going to erode it out. And when it does, and that's when you start getting some issues. So we eliminated that whole erosion effect, okay? The custom curb we made for the satellite, you can see it shapes the satellite. I just think it looks a lot more professional. That's the way it's supposed to be. You can see we sealed all the screws on the top. Everything's all sealed. So, plumbing. If the branch came and took this off, you'll have water just go down into your holding tank. Easy peasy. And then on these wires right here that go into the satellite, they ran into some loom, but now about an inch down, the loom starts. So if they had to replace that, they may have to dig some of that out, replace the wire, but they can cut that end off and then fish the wire out and fish it back in and then put a new connection if in any event for whatever reason it failed. But then on the back here where that wheel is, there's a plate. We welded it right into the roofing, so now we won't have to worry about that wheel as it kind of comes up and lifts, it rolls, that wheel will roll. I want to make sure it's not going to compromise the roofing on the curb, so we put a piece of metal on there. Now, same thing with these curbs, everything's all welded, everything's all another counter flash on this, and you can see we have these stands right here that we fabricate all of this. So this video really is intended for the customers so they can see all the work we did. They're not DIY videos, but we make every single thing we hear. Everything you see, we make. So I have some people say, where'd you get this, where'd you get that, where'd you get this? Again, we fabricate everything. But then the other thing, we got our, see if I can turn this camera a little bit, get you sick, but we got our logo on there. And that just lets everybody know who installed this roof. It's rvroofinstall.com. We did have rv-ri.com on a couple other ones, rvroof.pro, but I actually was able to sandbag somebody to do some cutting for me. So, and it says July 20 on there. That's when we did the roof. So now we can monitor if the roof, if there's any issues with it, then we can go, hey, what's going on? The roof is only X amount of years old. We know how long it's been on here. So we've got the boots around the ladder as well. So we're done. We're done. This looks really, really well. So the next thing I'm going to go over real quick, and I just had the customers up here taking a look at their coach, and I was showing them how to do some inspections. This is our care package we give to everybody while we roof install. You got a checker tool. We'll leave you with some caulking. There's a little primer. There's the tip to the caulking gun, to the tube of caulking. Obviously you got to cut that and you got to poke it. Cut it and poke it. Alright, so then we got key tags. We got it's like a real gift package here. We got a couple pieces of just basically roof tape in case a tree branch hits this. We've got a magnet for the stove, a couple of pens, key tags. So we got all that. We even got a little brush. So now that we know what's in our package, if we'll say we come around here and we'll say that one of these wants to breach, and we'll say you got a hole and this goes in there, we'll say about that much, okay? We'll say that. Some reason, whatever, it popped. It wasn't, whoever welded it, just that didn't get welded. When you weld these, that heat wants to be consistent all the way around. So, but anyhow, that's neither here or there. We'll just show how we do a patch. So, if that went in that far, for instance, and we need to try to correct that issue. We don't want to have, this is all welded everywhere anyhow, but if we had to fix it, open it up, clean it with some acetone or nail polish remover, clean it up. Once you get that clean, you're going to take the primer, you're going to take the brush, you're going to reach up underneath there, and you're going to put a little primer in there, just a little dot. You don't need very much. Little dot. You want to put it on this, and you want to put it on the top too, so you want to get it all in there. We'll wait for it to dry. Then you'll take your squirt, 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 and then you just smooth it out. You're done. Press it down a little bit. It's good. It'll last. Then come in for an inspection. If you say, hey, I noticed I had to do a little repair right here, we'll dig it all out and we'll clean it and re-weld it for you. So these are just emergency scenarios. This is roof patch. So same thing with a roof patch. If we have a tree branch come down, boom, tree hits right here. Tree hit it. We got a big gash in this roof. That's a good leak. If you have it and it's raining out, even if it's raining, try to get that opened up just a little bit. Hopefully it didn't go through the decking, but we'll say for this sample we'll say it did not. You want to put that in the hole and you're going to kind of rotate the tube around. So you squirt, 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 and then squeeze it all together. It'll bubble out, leave it alone. It's done. This is a moisture cured product, so it will, there's a moisture cured product, so it will cure right out even in the rain, right? So now you go, hey, I remember that tree branch last night. Now you come up here, you're gonna put a patch on it. So if you got that little caulking bubble sticking up, scratch it off, then put this on here, trace it with a pen. Once you trace it with a pen, you're gonna go outside that pen mark just a little bit with the primer and your brush, make your nice drawing around there, all inside as well with the primer. Then you're gonna peel this film off the back, and I usually peel it just to the corner like that, and then I reach up underneath there and I'll pull it back this way, and then as I'm going along I'll make sure it's smooth. So then you have to prime this little edge as well. You're gonna prime right here on the perimeter, whatever, 1/2 inch, 3/8, whatever you want. But anyhow, you prime this. Here's your primer, take the brush. So now you have a little primer out here, and you have a little primer out here, and you're gonna put primer on here. When you do that, you come back to your caulking, you're gonna go squirt, 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 and you're gonna protect that. Now the reason why you're putting this on, why you're putting the caulking on, you see the black underneath there? That's butyl. When the sun hits it, it'll dry it out, and it'll start releasing. And eventually you'll start seeing it do some of this little curling notion like this, because all the elements are getting in it, and it'll start coming off. So that'll stave it off. Then you come back and go, hey Joe, we noticed that we had a tree branch hit this. Well, we're gonna do a heat patch for you. If in the event you're not around and you really need to get it done, so I've got 2 patches there, and you do, I'm leaving you with, this is the product. This is the actual, this is Carlisle Syntec SureWeld. That's what this is. It's a TPO. If you can't have me do it, you need to find someone else to weld this on there. They can do that, but they'll have the right product to be able to heat weld it on there. So then that'll be a permanent patch. But if you can't mix and match TPO, I don't care who tells you, if you run into a person who tells you, oh, don't worry about it, I can put GAF on top of Carlisle, Carlisle on top of GAF, I can put this one on top of that. You cannot. Now, there are differences where, like Carlisle will license their roofing to other companies that want to distribute it, okay? That can happen. But unless you know that this was manufactured and this is Carlisle's product, or whoever's product for that matter, you cannot just randomly take and start welding stuff to other stuff. So whoever's telling you that, even if it's a guy at the store, he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's not going to happen. You're not going to take this this is Carlisle. You're not taking this Carlisle membrane here and welding it to GAF. It will not stick. You may get it to stick and you go, hey, you see it stuck. And once it turns to ambient, and you'd probably be able to peel it right off. It is not going to stay. So anyhow, that's how we do all the patches. So I'll put all this back in the box, and that's about it. So we appreciate you watching. And then if you need any more information, this is us right here, rvroofinstall.com. There's our telephone number. Contact us at rvroofinstall.com. Contact us at rvroofinstall.com. So again, keep in mind, these are not DIY videos. There's a lot of work behind, what I call behind the scenes that we do. I can't possibly videotape every single little thing that we do that makes a difference. I just don't have time for it. So, I don't want to steer anybody wrong. I get some questions on, what about caulking? What about this? What about that? I don't know your actual application. If I don't know your actual application, that would be a concern, because what if I give you some advice and you've got a different application than I was thinking of? You're going to be shaking your fist at me. So I try to help out where I can, so don't get disappointed if I can't. But we appreciate you watching just the same. Thanks.